Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 149. Without any delay, start explanation. All of a sudden, Wu Rui sensed danger and hastily raised his hands to the front of his body. Clang! A tremendous force imbued with a terrifying darkness surged towards him. Wu Rui was struck such that he flew out backward with the light of dark purple electricity shimmering around his body. The 6 pieces of battle armor on his body glowed white as they withstood the tenacious sword blows. How could this happen? Wu Rui's heart was in disarray. The next moment, while still flying backward, he abruptly sank. He was attempting to control his body subconsciously, yet he could only sense the tremendous pressure akin to a hill on top of him. Roar! Wu Rui dropped to the ground and the twisted space vanished. The crowd watched as Yuan and Yehui kneeled on Wu Rui's chest, using her knees to forcefully slam him to the ground. The tip of the Shadow Devil sword in her hand was pointed downward at Wu Rui's chest. Though the battle armor was capable of protecting his body, he had yet to own a complete set of one-word battle armor. Yuan and Yehui needed only a moment before she could directly attack Wu Rui's unprotected head. Stop! Elder Cai's voice echoed promptly, as she announced the match's victory and defeat. The wings flapped behind Yuan and Yehui's back. She floated up from Wu Rui's body and fluttered backward 10 meters before she slowly touched the ground. Sounds of cheering reverberated through the entire arena. The cheers from the second grade Class 1 students were especially lively. She has become even stronger, muttered Tang Wulin. If she had such power during the 2-against-2 match earlier, I don't think we would have triumphed so easily. Her Titan giant ape was surprisingly not her strongest technique, but the fallen angel was. This is truly unexpected. Guu spoke. Generally the second martial soul is stronger than the first. It's only a matter of when one chooses to advance it. I didn't expect for her to obtain a second spirit soul for her martial soul so soon. It would seem that she has made a vast improvement in her spiritual power. Tang Wulin laughed. This is quite stressful. Everyone is advancing so fast. He was unaware that the reason for Yuan and Yehui's quick progress was directly related to him. Yuan and Yehui had been desperately striving under pressure from first-grade Class 1's outstanding students. She had only very recently obtained the 10,000-year soul ring. Yuan was truly powerful now. The first match goes to the first and second grade team. Wu Rui was uninjured, but his appearance was slightly marred by dust and dirt as he made his exit. It was absolutely shameful for him to lose to his junior sister when he had 6 pieces of battle armor. Song Lin frowned a little. It was rather embarrassing for third grade Class 1 since they lost in the first match. However, as a teacher, she could see that their defeat was fair, for Yuan and Yehui's power was unexpectedly strong. It was no wonder the academy agreed to allow the first and second grade team to challenge the third grade. They had a hidden secret as anticipated. Setting the issue of battle armor aside, Yuan and Yehui was certainly gifted with unusual aptitude. She possessed a twin martial soul that had both achieved 4 soul rings, and even possessed a 10,000-year-old spirit soul. This sort of power was rarely seen even in third grade. Not even Li Qiankun and Mo Ju were at her level when it came to natural talent. When she could own a set of one-word battle armor in the future, she would utterly exceed the outstanding students in her class. However, this was currently impossible since she had yet to become a one-word battle armor master. Song Lin squinted her eyes as she turned around and looked toward Yi Wu. It's your turn in the second match. She did not advise anything else as these students had been with her for 7 years. She understood their characteristics very well. Yi Wu's eyes burned with flames of excitement as he raised his hand to pat Wu Rui's shoulder. Big Mouth Wu, I am going to avenge you. Wu Rui pouted. I hope that you'll meet an even stronger opponent. He was actually feeling somewhat recalcitrant. After the fallen angel released the 4th soul ring, his ability was apparently restricted. He could sense that he was suppressed by that 10,000-year soul ring's martial soul, or his soul skill would not have failed. After cloning lost its effect, he no longer had the upper hand. If he was able to clone himself, he was confident that he could fight to the end by relying on his soul power enhanced by the battle armor. On the lower grade team's side, Wu Zhongkong's gaze shifted to Wu Sidua and Yi Xinglan. The former took a step forward spontaneously. "Teacher Wu, I'll go for the second match." Wu Zhongkong nodded slightly. "Give free rein to your power and all will be fine. Do not enter recklessly." "Yes." Wu Sidua answered and floated upwards, lively landing on the competition stage. Yi Wu, who had arrived on stage one step ahead of her, perceived the vision before his eyes brighten. A beautiful maiden had appeared before him. A girl's development was always slightly earlier than a boy. That was why even though Wu Sidua was only 14 years old, she appeared not much younger than Yi Wu. "Nice to meet you, junior sister. I'm Yi Wu of 3rd grade class 1, Yi Wu spoke with a smile. Surprisingly, his earlier aggression had subsided to some degree. "1st grade class 1, Wu Sidua." Her reply was much simpler. Astonishment flashed in Yi Wu's eyes upon hearing her name. He had learned of her long ago. She was ranked 10th on the Genius Youths ranking, twin martial soul, and she possessed a martial soul fusion skill. There was no doubt of her natural ability. Her martial soul might not be as strong as Yuan and Yehue's, but her twin martial souls could utilize a martial soul fusion skill, and that was truly terrifying. Moreover, a cultivation base had already exceeded 4 soul rings even though she was only in the 1st grade. The current batch of 1st grade students was truly frightening. She would probably break through to the 50th rank by the 2nd grade if she were given a few more years to develop herself. She deserved to be honored as the best among the strongest freshman class in Shrek Academy in the past few centuries. "Begin." Elder CAI announced the start of the competition in the same exceedingly simple manner. The two competitors moved simultaneously. It was as if 2 streaks of lightning appeared on the battleground. Yi Wu's whole body seemed to have ignited in the split second he dashed forward. His back spurted out intense flames that allowed him to instantly reach an extreme speed. The 1st and 2nd grade students were startled by his quick pace, especially the agility-type soul masters who had never seen such speed before. Yes, Yi Wu's speed was beyond reason. Like a line of fire, it only took him a blink of an eye to approach Wu Sidua. Wu Sidua herself was very fast. Her Hell Civet was extremely agile, yet she had only crossed a third of the distance between them when the opponent reached her. What kind of speed is this? Wu Sidua could not help feeling fear in her heart. However, her reaction was incomparably swift. She released her first soul skill, Hell Rush. Her Hell Rush was not meant to dash straight into the opponent, but for her to adjust her position ever so slightly. She dodged sideways using the Hell Rush's explosive speed. Flames flashed past as their 2 bodies almost alternated positions. Yi Wu had already arrived on the other end of the arena between the glimmer of shadows formed by the light. He only changed direction when he approached the stage's edge. He drew out an arc as he turned and dashed toward Wu Sidua once again. "He's swift but it seems he lacks agility," Tang Wulin whispered. "Perhaps it's because he is so swift that his level of agility is affected." As a similar agility-type soul master, Xie was startled by Yi Wu's speed as well. His linear assault speed was too fast that one's eyes would not be able to take everything in. Xie wondered if he would be capable of such speeds, but he could see from Yi Wu's difficulty in stopping mid-stride that his agility was affected by his momentum. Flame Body. This was Yi Wu's martial soul, and it was used for both offense and defense. However, Yi Wu had an unusual approach during the cultivation process. He used the propulsion of the flames to make himself a unique agility-type soul master. Even an agility-type soul master who was at a higher level than his would be incapable of comparing with his linear acceleration, let alone someone of the same rank. That was why his opponents usually lost to his extreme speed. Wu Sidua had a great deal of combat experience. She made an accurate judgment at that first moment when she sensed something was wrong, which was why she did not confront him aggressively. Moreover, Wu Sidua's body had already started undergoing some changes. She had suddenly grown taller while her slender figure became bulkier. Her long hair turned a combination of black and white, while fur grew out soundlessly around her neck as her arms swelled in size, becoming thick and strong. It was a martial soul transformation, the White Tiger. Yiwu had already turned around and was dashing toward her once again. When he realized that Wu Sidwa had grown brawny and muscular, the corners of his lips that were hidden in the flames could not help but twitch. How has it come to this? Why do all the young girls have martial souls capable of making them stronger? This is truly horrifying. There was a shimmering glow as Wu Sidwa lifted her arms away from her sides. With a burst of light, she brought forth her razor-sharp knife, Tiger Claw. She was no longer trying to dodge but stood on the spot awaiting Yiwu's arrival. With Yiwu's extraordinary speed, the two parties collided into one another instantly. Boom! A fiery light burst out upon impact. Wu Sidwa slid a dozen meters backward before she managed to regain her footing. However, she had been able to forcefully withstand the strength point of Yiwu's dashing attack. The assault system was resistant to the agility system. This was the reason why Wu Sidwa chose the White Tiger martial soul. With the White Tiger acting as a protective shield, she used her strong physique to block the power of her opponent's high speed. The blood essence in both fighters' bodies surged following the collision. It was a very uneasy sensation. Ha! Yiwu shouted aloud as the fiery radiance burst forth from his body once again. This time the reddish-orange flames turned a shade of azure, raising the temperature immediately. Wu Sidwa could feel the scorching heat blowing against her face despite standing a dozen meters away from him. Her White Tiger martial soul had not yet fully matured, and it was certainly not as strong as Yuan and Yehuo's second martial soul. She possessed only 3 soul skills at the moment, as her second soul spirit had yet to find a suitable one. Her third soul ring brightened. The hairs on her body suddenly turned a dazzling golden color, and she became even stronger than before. She took one step forward before she suddenly rushed toward Yiwu. Yiwu's body burned brightly, yet he did not dash toward Wu Sidwa. Instead, he sped sideways at full speed. He drew out a large arc as he circled wildly across the battleground. His agility-type battle method was completely different from most agility-type soul masters. He did not only use his speed to move around, but it also enabled him to attack his opponents with high-velocity collisions. His body was extremely durable and could withstand high-speed impacts when he transformed into the flame body. He could often severely injure his opponent with such powerful collisions and high-temperature flames. This was indeed his own unique battle method, which was the initial reason that Shrek Academy accepted him. Of course, there were also some drawbacks when using this technique to battle. The most critical was that working together with a partner was very difficult for him. Only through painstaking effort along with his incredible power did he manage to become the strongest group member in 3rd grade Class 1. Yiwu circled around once at full speed. When he reappeared before Wu Sidwa, he was already rushing toward her at an extreme velocity again. Boom! The two fighters flew backwards simultaneously. Wu Sidwa rolled on the ground before she stood up again. Blood essence was surging in her body while her heart was dumbstruck with astonishment. This guy's impact force was truly too powerful. This was absolutely not something that an ordinary agility-type soul master was capable of achieving. It was extremely difficult for her to withstand his attack even when she was in her White Tiger Diamond transformation. She had already been slightly injured. Yiwu's body rolled around in the air. He accelerated even more when he touched the ground. He relied on the flame body's half-elemental state to strengthen his ability to withstand the force of impact. This was supposed to be his battle method all along. What do I do? Wu Sidwa's mind raced as her heart pounded in her chest. This opponent's speed really was more than she could handle. It was utterly impossible for her to depend on the Hell Civet to chase after him. However, a White Tiger martial soul was already in danger of failing when he was dashing at her with such force. Perhaps it would be better if the White Tiger possessed a 4th soul ring, but given the circumstances, simply trying to withstand more collisions was of no use. The azure-colored flames were being blocked by the White Tiger Diamond transformation, but the scorching heat still made it feel like her internal organs were burning. Wu Sidwa inhaled deeply as a quick flash went through her eyes. Her hands flung out simultaneously. 2 streaks of light shot out and landed on top of her arms. A pair of pure white vambraces with faint golden-colored striations covered her forearms. Soon after, 2 rear braces flung out from her ring and shielded her upper arms. 4 pieces of battle armor. Boom! Yi Wu was the unfortunate one during the third collision. His velocity was so great that it was difficult for him to adjust his direction. He watched helplessly as the opponent released her battle armor, yet for him it was too late. Wu Sidwa did not budge at all this time under the violent collision, while Yi Wu flew backward. Wu Sidwa would never waste such a fine opportunity. Her martial soul switched over in an instant. Even the battle armor on her arms seemed to turn unreal following that. She dashed her way in front of Yi Wu using the Hell Rush and struck forth with her front claws. Under the stage, Song Lin's face was filled with astonishment. Are the current first-grade students already so strong? She is only in the first grade of her second academic year, but she already has 4 pieces of battle armor. Moreover, these 4 pieces of battle armor were compatible with her twin martial soul. It is certainly difficult to produce battle armor that can be used effectively with a twin martial soul, yet amazingly these young people are capable of doing exactly that. This is truly astonishing. Based on her current rate, she would own a full set of one-word battle armor by second grade and formally become a one-word battle armor master. Extraordinary. Luo Guixing's mouth cracked into a gentle smile below the stage. Subconsciously, he peered in the direction of Tang Wulin and Ji Yu. Yes, the 4 pieces of one-word battle armor on Wu Sidwa's body were the fruit of their painstaking labor. Even though the armor was not made of spirit alloy, the amount of effort it took to design and produce one that accommodated the twin martial soul was similarly rigorous. Hence, they had no choice but to reduce the battle armor's power by a little. Wu Sidwa's little group of members worked with determination and invested enormous effort into this task upon seeing that Tang Wulin and his team were capable of producing one-word battle armor made of spirit alloy. Wu Sidwa's battle armor was only just completed the same year. The entire group focused all their effort on her in order to make her stronger while the rest of the team only owned 1 or 2 pieces of battle armor. They were leading their group by following the footsteps of Tang Wulin's team. As soon as the 4 pieces of battle armor were released, it immediately turned the tide of battle around. Wu Sidwa's soul power was the greatest amongst the entire first-grade Class 1. She had already achieved 44th rank. There was still a gap between her rank and Yi Wu's 48th rank, but he was not unpassable. The Hell Rush was just about to reach Yi Wu when his body suddenly changed. The azure flames turned sky blue, and the temperature went from scorching hot to off the charts. Wu Sidwa could feel like a burning sensation immediately rush against her face. Not only did her body feel the heat, but even her spiritual power felt ignited. Clang! Hell Rush collided with Yi Wu's raised arms. It was unknown when Yi Wu's arms and hands had been covered by blue battle armor. He was also using battle armor. The 2 parties collided with one another. Yi Wu did not manage to steady himself this time due to the blow he suffered earlier. He was blown away by Wu Sidwa's impact. However, his reaction was extremely swift. His body immediately turned around in midair, shooting out blue flames as he accelerated once again. He fled in the opposite direction so fast that Wu Sidwa was rendered incapable of catching up to him. Yi Wu's hands flung out as he was wildly dashing around. One after another, more pieces of battle armor were continuously added to his body. He had a pair of pieces for his forearms and hands, his shoulders and upper arms, and his thighs. He had armor covering both of his legs with battle boots, bringing him to a total of 8 pieces. Even though he did not own the core armor, with 8 pieces of armor attached to his body, he had double the amount of Wu Sidwa. This was the third grade's real advantage. The most important aspect of their true power was on display here. Yi Wu's speed increased even more, making the blue flames on his body even more overwhelming. There was no way to block him. Wu Sidwa knew at once that when Yi Wu came dashing at her again wearing 8 pieces of battle armor, none of her martial souls were capable of withstanding the impact anymore. The third grade senior was incisive as expected. However, it was also at this moment when Wu Sidwa's eyes started glowing. It was a secluded and lonely glow. The 4 pieces of battle armor on her body shone brightly and transformed into countless streams of flashing lights, covering her with bright striations. Her body expanded abruptly as she launched the martial soul fusion skill, Hell White Tiger. Shimmering with an otherworldly radiance, the Hell White Tiger appeared out of thin air. It was even bigger and more unfathomable than before. The space around the entire sparring arena seemed to warp upon its arrival. Boom! Yiwu charged forth majestically with his blue flames burning. The next moment, the students of 3rd grade Class 1 were staring in bewilderment. It was a slap. The Hell White Tiger had only needed to slap Yiwu, and he was sent flying. It was clear that the Hell White Tiger's 2 front claws were covered in scale-like armor. These were Wu Siduo's 4 pieces of battle armor, which were particularly effective in the martial soul fusion skill. They had truly expended much thought and care on this matter. The martial soul fusion skill had closed and even exceeded the gap between their ability levels. Yiwu was slapped until he was left dizzy and confused. His 8 pieces of blue-colored battle armor glimmered with radiance as they released a light blue shield, protecting him from injury but with great effort. His face remained filled with fear. She was exceptionally powerful. This had absolutely surpassed an ordinary Soul Master's cultivation base. It had proven itself to be the martial soul fusion skill. The Hell White Tiger gracefully leaped forward through the air as it attacked Yiwu once again. No longer daring to another high-speed collision anymore, Yiwu turned around and fled. The biggest problem with the martial soul fusion skill was its sustainability. His best option now was to rely on his extreme speed to run away and keep the Hell White Tiger from catching up. But Wu Siduo's speed had increased twofold in the form of Hell White Tiger, compared to when she was the Hell Civet. More importantly, although Yiwu's method was powerful as evidenced by the battle earlier, it had a drawback, and that was his trajectory. There was no way to effectively change one's direction when one was dashing at such speeds. Wu Siduo had earlier realized that Yiwu could only slightly adjust his direction while running unrestrainedly. He was incapable of turning or even backing away much. This was the price of extreme speed. She became aware of this earlier when she was in the White Tiger and Hell Civet form, but could not capture him due to her speed. However, the situation had changed. The Hell White Tiger instantly turned around and dashed ahead. Based on his momentum, Yiwu would certainly come through this direction. Stop and attack. Wu Siduo was not only powerful physically, but mentally as well. Having a great knowledge of battlefield tactics was what made her one of the top 10 students in the Genius Youth ranking. Not even Tang Wulin could completely outshine her in 1st grade Class 1. She was still among the best in terms of individual strength. When Yiwu realized that the Hell White Tiger was blocking his path, he already knew he was in big trouble. He clenched his teeth as blue flames leaped about the 8 pieces of armor on his body. He curled himself into a ball and rolled toward the Hell White Tiger, protected by the armor and his awesome blaze. Unfortunately for him, he didn't notice that Hell White Tiger was burning when he curled into a ball. A layer of twisted fire with unidentifiably colored flames scorched from the Hell White Tiger's body. Its flesh instantly seemed even more unreal, but its eyes turned unusually bright within the blaze. Boom! The fierce blast exploded across the ground. The Hell White Tiger's enormous body almost disintegrated and transformed into countless light streams before gathering into Wu Siduo, who flew backward again. But her opponent was even weaker. The light shield around Yiwu's body had shattered, and he had been blasted out like a cannonball. He collided with the protective cover on the sparring arena before he bounced back and slammed the ground ferociously. Wu Siduo's face was ghastly pale as she kneeled onto the ground. Her breathing was rapid. Her body shivered slightly. She did not mind burning out her Hell White Tiger's strength in that one strike. She could sense that it should have succeeded. 2 streams of white light descended from the sky and fell around both her and Yiwu separately. Wu Siduo could feel a comforting warmth spread through her entire body all at once. The severe weakness from earlier was recovering rapidly. Even the countercharge that came with the martial soul fusion skill had decreased substantially. 2 streams of white light descended from the sky and fell around her body and Yiwu separately. She exhaled as she slowly stood up. On the other side, it took a few seconds before Yi Wu raised his head with great effort below the reflection of the white light. He propped himself from the ground and stood up. By then the glow of the 8 pieces of battle armor on his body was dimmer. He was covered in dust, dirt, and even had blood on his lips. Yes, he was still injured despite being under the armor's protection. First grade Class 1, Wu Sidua wins. Elder Cai glanced at the two of them and announced the result. Both were actually defeated and wounded in this match. Yi Wu had been knocked out despite having 8 pieces of battle armor. However, Wu Sidua was already rendered incapable of continuing. However, a match was still a match, and at least Wu Sidua did not faint, so she won by a narrow margin. The muscles on Yi Wu's face were visibly twitching. His injuries were quickly healing under the reflection of the Holy Spirit Doluo's light. He gave a thumbs up at Wu Sidua's direction with a forced smile before he stepped down from the stage dejectedly. Wu Sidua frowned hard. In actuality, her opponent did not necessarily lose. If each was given adequate time to rest, she would certainly lose in a life-and-death battle. The Holy Spirit Doluo's light was able to heal injuries and recover one's strength, yet it was incapable of resolving her martial soul fusion skill's countercharge. It was impossible for her to launch the Hell White Tiger anymore while Yi Wu, who was healed, only needed to rest for a while before he could continue to fight. She was not yet powerful enough. She needed to become even stronger. However, Wu Sidua believed that, given adequate time of 1 to 2 years, Yi Wu would no longer be a worthy opponent for her regardless. It seemed like she would have to look for a compatible second soul spirit for her White Tiger martial soul. One that was just like Yuan and Yehue's. She had already made Yuan and Yehue her goal without noticing. It was now a winning streak of 2, with the first and second grades team being victorious twice in a row. The students from 3rd grade Class 1 had already stopped talking, while students from the 1st and 2nd grade seemed like they were drowning in a sea of happiness. There was a difference of 3 years between each grade. Yet, they were still capable of winning twice under such circumstances. In reality, they had already won the respect of others through this sparring competition. The Holy Spirit Doluo withdrew her holy light and could not help nodding gently. The new generation of children are gifted with superb natural talents. Each of their twin martial souls had its own characteristic. This will become the generation with limitless possibilities in the future. But why haven't I seen Tang Wulin on stage? She had very deep memories of Tang Wulin. The Scarlet Dragon Zhuoshe who sat behind her said, Tang Wulin will be taking part in the 2-against-2 match alongside Guu. He'll also be participating in the group battle later. Yoli spoke in slight astonishment, so who is going to represent the 1st and 2nd grades team in the final 1-to-1 match? Is it going to be that young lad from the Holy Angel clan? I don't think so. It is Yi Xinglan who had formerly left the court. Xinglan? It is that little girl. Take a good look at her. See how far she has come. Song Lin's expression turned somewhat unpleasant now, but she did not blame Yi Wu. They lost the first 2 matches not because her own students were not working hard or because the other party was too fortunate. There was a genuine difference in their strengths. Yuan and Yehue and Wu Sidua were both at least 5 years younger than her own students. They were almost definitely entering the inner court in the future. Moreover, it was highly possible that they would become important personages of the inner court. But she remained recalcitrant. It was far too embarrassing for the 3rd grade students to lose to the lower grades. Moju. Song Lin's gaze glowed. I understand. Don't worry, Teacher Song. We will definitely win the 3rd match. It was not known how long Moju had been beside Song Lin. She raised her chin proudly. Song Lin's expression relaxed a little. Not only will you win this match, but we will not tolerate any losses in the matches that follow. The time to defend the honor of 3rd grade Class 1 is upon us. Her voice was calm, but the students by her side were in high spirits. Yes, so what if all of you are gifted with outstanding talent? It is our 3rd grade's time right now. Moju did not jump onto the stage but walked step by step along the pedestal. Moju. Moju is about to strike now. Look, It's Moju. Under the stage, students from every grade broke into a discussion at once. The strongest students in the outer court were the one-word battle armor masters, with the exception of higher grade students who had already entered the inner court. They were still considered outer court students before they participated in the inner court examination. There were only two such students, Moju, unlike Qiankun. That was why they were the powerhouses of the inner court. She was not called the strongest in the outer court for no reason. Many students' faces turned fanatical when Moju walked onto the stage. She was their idol. Shortly after this, Moju and Li Qiankun were scheduled to enter the inner court together for the trial. They could join Shrek Academy's inner court students and acquire great privilege as long as they passed the trial. Moju represented the third grade in the third match. This basically meant a sure win for third grade class 1 in the third match. After 3 1-against-1 matches, the final result would be determined by a 2-against-2 match. The only question was who would represent first and second grade side, and whether that person was capable of posing a challenge to Moju in the upcoming match. Yi Xinglan was also walking to the competition stage step by step in a similar manner. She was silent and did not exchange information much with her companions before she ascended the stage. However, her entire demeanor began to change as soon as she stepped onto the competition stage pedestal. Yi Xinglan brought an indescribable constrained feeling to the ordinary students, as if she were a stormy cloud, ready to break out at any moment. She is suppressing herself. Yoli stared in astonishment at Yi Xinglan as she ascended to the stage slowly. Moju arrived on stage 1 step before Yi Xinglan. She had only taken one glance before she saw her opponent walking from the opposite side, drawn in by the vital energy. Yet another girl competitor. The first and second grades team sent out female students for all 3 1-against-1 matches. Compared to Yuan and Yehui and Wu Sidua, Yi Xinglan had a less stellar reputation in the outer court. First of all, she was the last to enter the outer court. Secondly, she usually kept a low profile and rarely appeared in public unless she was attending class. Her presence was noticeable only because she joined Tang Wulin's little group. But Tang Wulin shone so brightly that most people noticed only him but had little knowledge of his other group members. Only the opponents of Yuan and Yehui and Wu Sidua could truly understand that Tang Wulin wasn't the only powerful one in the group. Every member could hold their own. Yi Xinglan ascended the stage. The entire crowd grew quiet once again. Xu Lixi had already stood up under the stage, tightly clenching his fists. Just as third grade class 1 students investigated them, they had similarly investigated the students from third grade class 1. Moju was one of the 2 one-word battle armor masters in the class. In the third 1-against-1 match, Yi Xinglan had the imposing prospect of facing up against the strongest opposition in the end. Elder Cai peered at Yi Xinglan once, then she looked toward Moju and announced, "Begin." This time was different from the previous match where the two parties abruptly dashed toward each other. After Elder Cai had announced the start of the fight, neither competitor launched an attack at first. The light around Moju's body had visibly dimmed. She walked forth slowly. With every step, the dimness increased. Circles upon circles of soul rings arose from the bottom of her feet. Purple. 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 There were 5 impressive purple-colored soul rings. A 1,000-year spirit soul was capable of withstanding 3 soul rings. In other words, there were 2,000-year spirit souls in Moju's body right now. However, one would notice upon closer inspection that the 2 outer soul rings behind were a deeper color, the dominant feature of a 10,000-year soul ring. The spirit ascension platform was capable of raising the spirit soul into a higher level. Outstanding genius soul masters could possibly enhance their soul rings level through the spirit ascension platform, but the process of advancing became more difficult with more soul rings. However, it was very apparent that Moju would certainly advance her 4th and 5th soul rings to a 10,000-year level in the future. At the same time, 5 soul rings also implied that she was a soul king. She was a 5 soul ring king level powerhouse. Moju was 19 years old this year. Not only had she attained soul king level at this age, but she was also a one-word battle armor master. This only occurred frequently in Shrek Academy. As a sure inner court student, she was one of the strongest in the outer court present. One after another, black feathers emerged from within her long hair. The feathers spread from her hair down to her body, following which the force on her body became thicker. It was the Black Swan. This was Mo Ju's martial soul. The swan had always been the supremely elegant living creature among the soul beasts. Ordinary swan-type soul beasts were skilled in recovery-type abilities. Legend spoke of a being named the Emerald Swan, one of the 10 great beasts. Her cultivation base was also the top among the 10 great beasts. Even so, Mo Ju's Black Swan was not skilled in recovery, nor was she an auxiliary-type soul master. She was a true soul master, an assault type who was an expert in casting all sorts of spells and long-range attacks. Her reputation in the 3rd grade Class 1 had triumphed even Li Qiankun. If Li Qiankun was the mainstay of 3rd grade Class 1, then the Black Swan Mo Ju was the spiritual pillar of 3rd grade Class 1. There were always a few important personages in each grade of Shrek Academy's outer court. Yuan Yehue, Yu Jingyu, and Duan Hunxiao were undoubtedly the stars of 2nd grade. The 3rd grade had Li Qiankun and Mo Ju. Just as with the present situation of the 1st grade, it was extremely rare for many students to achieve this level. Yi Xinglan stopped moving toward Mo Ju, who was walking slowly ahead. Yi Xinglan's gaze was determined. She would never allow her opponent, a one-word battle armor master, to affect her will to fight. She stood on the same spot, her entire body straight as a javelin. She did not release her soul rings but continued to stand there. The force of her whole body was rising and withdrawing continuously. Mo Ju squinted her eyes, her sharp senses telling her that this opponent was anything but ordinary. She was not careless. As a fellow Shrek Academy student, she was aware that the academy was rich with monsters. Wu Rui seemed unassailable, but he was defeated. Yi Wu obviously had the upper hand, yet he too was taken down. It was her turn now. She would never act recklessly no matter how advantageous it seemed. The Black Swan of Darkness attribute. Mo Ju raised her right hand, and as the first soul ring on her body flashed, her right hand touched the space in the direction of Yi Xinglan. A ghastly sight suddenly materialized. A gigantic black skull appeared out of thin air and flew toward Yi Xinglan. It was at this exact split second that Yi Xinglan finally moved. Her whole body glowed with a dazzling radiance as a streak of sword's consciousness shot out from her body in a half a second. The intensity of the consciousness caused the arena's protective shield to give a shudder. A ghastly scene emerged at once. A gigantic black-colored skull appeared out of thin air and flew toward Yi Xinglan. The sword's energy was awe-inspiring. Like a meteor, she dashed straight at Mo Ju. Incredibly, the black skull in the air dissipated as soon as Yi Xinglan moved. Shock flashed in Mo Ju's eyes. How was this possible? The skull was her first soul skill, Weakness Curse. Physical and elemental defenses were ineffective against the Weakness Curse. Once someone was hit, they would sink into a period of weakness lasting 10 seconds while at least 20% of their soul power would be suppressed. Only a spirit-type soul skill was capable of resisting it. But Yi Xinglan was obviously not launching a spirit-type ability. It was the sword's consciousness, the sword's consciousness. The condensed sword's consciousness of hers collapsed the weakness curse immediately. How could her sword's consciousness be so powerful at such a young age? While her expression changed to fear, Mo Ju waved her arms as two pitch-black light orbs fused in front of her body. Simultaneously a pair of black wings spread out behind her back. With a flap of her wings, she floated into the air. In the split second when the two black orbs fused, a dark green skull emerged. Upon appearing, the skull shot a stream of dark green flames in Yi Xinglan's direction. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.